This is the YUKA 1500 from Emotion, and it is the first robot mower that let me stop thinking about mowing and start focusing on actually improving my lawn. I have been using it for a few weeks, and the biggest surprise is how hands-off it feels once you dial it in. I would put this in the fully autonomous robot mower category, the kind that does not need a perimeter wire. It is best for people who want a tidy yard with minimal effort, and for anyone whose lawn is not a perfect flat rectangle. If your yard has a mix of sun and shade, some slopes, a few trees, flower beds, or even a little creek like mine, it fits that real-life messiness pretty well, as long as you are willing to spend some time on the initial setup. The design matters more than I expected. The shell is a crisp white plastic that feels durable but not heavy. It sits right in the sweet spot where I can pick it up and move it without feeling like a workout. It weighs around 34 pounds, and the rugged wheels give it good traction when the grass is damp or the ground is uneven. The profile looks a bit like a compact race car, but what I care about day to day is that the body shape sheds clippings and dirt easily. The top knob for height adjustment is easy to grab with one hand, and the charging contacts line up reliably when it docks. I never had to fiddle with the base for more than a minute to get it seated correctly. Setup took some patience, and I recommend planning a solid afternoon. The YUKA 1500 finds its way using a combination of a three-dimensional vision positioning system and real-time kinematic positioning. Think of it like a super-precise global positioning system that can tell the mower where it is within inches, not yards. That precision depends on placing the real-time kinematic antenna where it has a clear view of the sky. I tested a few spots around my garage and backyard. A shady corner made it drop the signal every so often, and a spot near a big oak tree confused it. Once I moved the antenna to a taller mount with a clear view above the roofline, the connection settled down. If you have a lot of tree cover, expect a little trial and error here. When the connection is solid, the mower does a guided lap to map your property. No perimeter wire, no trenching, no pegs, just let it drive and learn. Inside the Emotion app, I split my property into separate zones: front yard, backyard, side strips, and a small patch behind the fence. The app lets me create up to 10 zones, and I like that I can schedule them on different days and tell the mower to cut at different angles in each zone. I also drew no-go zones over flower beds, the kids' play area, and one spot with an exposed irrigation wire. That kept it from poking into places it should not go. The app itself is powerful but a little clunky. Sometimes a setting like mowing angle does not stick the first time. I also had a couple of moments where a quick wireless internet hiccup made the app feel unresponsive. When that happened, I reopened the app and my changes appeared, but it is not as smooth as I would like. The real-time map view is helpful, and the mower obeys the schedule reliably, but the software could use a polished pass for people who do not want to tap through several menus. Cutting performance is where the YUKA 1500 won me over. I set the height using the manual knob on top. The range goes from about 1.2 inches to around 4 inches. I keep Bermuda grass with some stubborn crabgrass patches, and I landed on 2 inches for most of the season. The mower follows patterns you choose in the app. I am using a checkerboard pattern in the main yard and a single direction stripe in a narrow side strip. The stripes are surprisingly clean for a home robot. After a few sessions, the lawn looks flatter and more even than with my push mower because it passes at consistent angles and does not scalp the edges. It uses dual floating cutting discs, so the blades flex a bit over uneven ground. Every now and then it misses a few taller blades in very thick growth, but on the next pass those standouts disappear. Consistency over time is the strength here, not a one-pass miracle. Obstacle avoidance has been better than I expected. The mower uses artificial intelligence-powered cameras to recognize objects. It slows down near toys, soccer balls, and even a garden hose and reroutes instead of climbing over them. Near my creek, it initially got a little too curious and tiptoed to the edge. I dropped a short line of bricks to make that boundary obvious, and I drew a conservative no-go zone in the app. Since then, it has not pushed its luck. Early on, it did get stuck twice when the ground was muddy and one wheel spun in place. After I tightened the zone edges and shifted the mowing time to a drier part of the day, those hang-ups stopped. By the fifth full mowing session, it had learned the yard well enough that it simply did its route and came back to charge without any drama. Battery life has been solid and predictable. On a full charge, it handles roughly 500 square meters of grass before it returns to the base to top up on its own. For me, that covers the main yard. It quietly docks, charges, and then finishes whatever zone remains. Noise is low enough that I feel fine running it at dawn. I have had neighbors walk by while it is working and not notice it until it passed right beside them. That low hum is such a relief compared to a gas mower roar. The slope handling surprised me. My yard has a couple of steeper sections, and the YUKA 1500 claims it can handle up to 45%. In my experience, anything close to that limit works if the ground is dry and firm. On wet grass, I keep the pattern running across the slope rather than straight up and down to avoid wheel spin. It keeps traction and does not tear up the lawn, which is the part I care about. A real quality of life add-on is the sweeper attachment. I did not expect to use it much, but it has become part of my routine, especially after windy days. The mower scoops up leaves and small sticks and then empties them in a place I selected. I set a drop spot behind my shed. I check it every few days and take everything to the bin in one quick trip. That little detail cut my raking time way down in the fall. Here is how I use it in a normal week. I let the mower run a checkerboard pattern in the backyard on Monday morning while the grass is still short from the weekend. It moves to the front on Wednesday in a single direction stripe to keep the curb looking crisp. Side strips go on Friday, short and quick. If we have storms, I switch to a cleanup sweep with the attachment on Saturday morning, and it quietly clears the leaves while I pull a few weeds. I can do all of this from the app, and if I want to watch its path, the real-time view is there. When I travel, I leave it on the schedule and check in once a day. I have not had to rush home because the lawn got out of control. That is the difference that matters. There are some quirks to be aware of. The real-time kinematic positioning can struggle under heavy shade or near tall buildings. If you have a lot of tree cover, plan your mowing windows when the sky view is better, or split your yard into smaller zones so the mower gets frequent fixes. The initial antenna placement matters more than you would think. Be willing to try a couple of spots, and once you find a stable location, mark it and do not move it. The app could be more user-friendly. Settings sometimes take a second try to apply, and a poor wireless internet connection makes it feel sluggish even if the mower itself is fine. Also, the blade height is manual. I prefer that because I pick a height and leave it there. But if you were hoping to do everything from your phone, you cannot adjust cutting height remotely. What impressed me most is the long-term effect. Because it runs on a schedule, the lawn never gets overgrown, which means the mower is always trimming rather than hacking. That steady maintenance is how you get those clean stripes and the smooth surface. My push mower always left me rushing to fix things every week. With this, my job is to do the higher-level stuff like spot treating weeds and reshaping the edge along the mulch beds. The robot handles the boring part, and I handle the details. The camera-based obstacle detection and the mapping system make it easy to live with a real yard. I like that I can change the pattern for a zone if I see a spot that is getting compacted, and the mower will switch on the next run. I like that I can draw a no-go box around the trampoline for a birthday weekend and remove it later. And I really like that I can send it out for a quick cleanup after a windy night and not haul out the rake. If you want a robot mower that feels more like a set-it-and-forget-it tool than a gadget to babysit, this checks that box once you put in the initial effort. If you have very heavy shade or a lot of tall obstructions, be realistic about antenna placement and scheduling. If you dislike fiddling with apps, know that the software works, but it could be smoother. If you are okay with a one-time setup, you get a mower that keeps your lawn looking clean, handles slopes up to around 45%, runs quietly at times that will not annoy your neighbors, and even helps with leaf cleanup if you add the sweeper. I recommend the YUKA 1500 to anyone who wants a low-maintenance path to a tidy yard, especially if your property has a few quirks. It is not perfect, and it did ask for a little patience up front, But once it learned my space, it became part of my weekly routine in the best way. I check the app, glance at the stripes, and go back to enjoying the yard. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel and drop a comment with your questions or your own experience. Thank you for watching.